Hey, everybody. Welcome to January and a brand new bet on a vet. And our guest today is Archie Smith Jr. And Archie, first of all, let's talk about your catering business a little bit. Archie's S&Q Barbecue. Do I have that
Smoked
right?
and barbecued, yeah. It's a long name. It's Archie's S&Q Smoked and Barbecued Meats Incorporated.
Okay. I'm showing Pat. I'm scrolling through some of your pictures here.
I want to come over to your house for Christmas dinner.
You can actually, yeah. My house is kind of set up like party style. It's got the Brady Bunch kind of feel with the low rooms and big spaces, and then all outdoors in the backyard are pits everywhere. So I have big parties every year where people 30, 40 to 60 people show up, and we have a great time. So yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And Archie, you have been in the catering business now for some time. Prior to that, you were in the U.S. Army?
I was in the Air Force.
Air Force, okay. And what did you do?
In the Air Force, I was a weapons load crew member. What that is basically the great name that got me caught up was Nuclear Armament Systems Journeyman. Travel the world, nuclear armament systems. That sounds great, but the layman term was bomb loader, basically on your knees on the concrete, loading practice bombs 3 times a day.
Oh,
in the desert and everywhere else, and then having to do it for real as well. So it was actually a great job, because it was a grunt job for the Air Force, as far as like, you get in the Air Force and you think, oh man, I'm going to get this job where I don't have to run. I get to have a job when I get out. You know what I mean? It transfers into the real world. And then here I am loading bombs. That's nothing I could do after I get out of the military. But it was a camaraderie with that. You know what I mean? That stuck us together and kept us together to this day. I still have the same load crew friends that I had in 96, 97, 98, and 99. So it was a really good experience.
You were in for 4 years?
I was in from 4 years, from 96 to 2000. Operation Desert Watch, Desert Shield, Operation Northern Watch, Southern Watch. I was in Incirlik, Turkey. I was in Bahrain a couple times. So it was a good time. We did a few deployments, and the reason I got out was because of my knees, actually. The knees on the concrete, you're thinking, oh man, I'd have knee pads, I'd have this, I'd have that, but we didn't have all that. And by my 3rd year, me and a few other guys were loading bombs standing up. We were bending under the plane to do it because our knees were bad. And we were taught in the military, I don't complain. So I'm not going to complain because it's going to give another person to take my duties. You know what I'm saying? So we never complain, from the pilot, from the captain, all the way down. So when I got out of the military, that's when I really learned that there's another path that all military members get on, and it's the veteran path when you get out of the military, and it's a lot different. You're taught how to manage and how to be there for each other, and how they're going to take care of you in the military. And then when you get out, you're kind of left on your own and to your own devices, and nobody's there for you. And you're just thinking that this is supposed to happen. And that's kind of what happened to me when I went into the Disabled American Veterans to file my claim for benefits for my knees and my back, and just little injuries that you would think shouldn't be so bad, and they should take care of, and I'll be able to play football and this and that after I get out, those types of things. And the care wasn't the way it should have been. The claim got denied, and if it wasn't for me being able to speak a little bit and the supervisor offering me a job with the Disabled American Veterans, I don't know what I would have done. But I became a veterans claims attorney, in fact. So that's where you're only dealing with VA law. We went to school for VA law, and if you're employed by the Disabled American Veterans nonprofit organization, you have to have a disability rated by the VA. And then you go through their school and their training, and you get certified through the VA system as a claims representative. So from 2000 to 2012, I was an actual national service officer for the Disabled American Veterans, like representing and helping veterans understand their benefits.
Wow. So you have this amazing catering business, and you can give legal help.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's what's so crazy. That's how it kind of spent together, because all I thought about was helping veterans. And throughout that time, throughout my military career, all I did was cook. So we would be at the, in the dorms, and I would go back into my mind and just say, okay, well, let's eat. So I'd have everybody go get all their Webers and bring them into the backyard of the dorm. And then I'd have 8 to 10 Webers in a circle, and everybody would bring coals and beer and everything. And I'd have coolers, just 3 or 4 coolers full of meat, one full of chicken, one full of steaks, one full of pork and stuff like that. And I would marinate everything, and I'd punch the meat. This is just being me. I'm punching the meat, marinating, I'm putting all this sauce, everything on it, and I'm grilling everything on different pits. And then everybody, we're getting drunk, we're having a great time. And now everybody's calling me away so they can eat off of the pit, because I wouldn't let anybody eat until it's all done. Because it's our style of cooking is from the South. It's why I call it S&Q, because it's more sustainable. Okay, barbecue I believe is for show. It's a great way of cooking, but it also is for presentation purposes, and it's to eat right then. It's to get the meat to the perfect point right then, right? You're reducing the fat out of the meat. It's right there. You're supposed to eat it. Well, the way I was taught in South Arkansas was to be sustainable with the meat. So what we do is we sear it over the direct heat first, but not close enough to the heat to where it burns the meat, to where it's roasting the meat. And that pushes the fat into the meat and creates a seal. So it's locking the fat into the meat. And then you move that over. So 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes over here, then you move it over for 2 or 3 hours on the indirect side. And you start your barbecue type process. And it locks the fat into the meat and makes it to where next week, 2 weeks later, you're still able to actually eat that meat. And it's not dry taco meat in 2 days like barbecue usually is.
It sounds to me like you're just freely giving away trade secrets
everywhere. Yeah, and that's why I'm incorporated, because I found out, as a veteran who has a lot of chronic pain and things like that, it's hard to do this stuff on your own. So, maybe I can keep on going and keep on bringing up all of these visions and thoughts of mine until somebody clicks on and says, you know what? I need to help you with your barbecue sauce that you hand make, and your seasoning that you hand make that's been approved by the state of California. I send it out all the way in little packages right now, but I'm just that one person, you know what I mean? So if somebody else knows how to do that, they're able to jump in and help that part of S&Q grow. The private catering, where I have these barbecue pits that I take to your house and teach you how to S&Q, how to do that and cook for your family, or do private parties. Hopefully I'm in really influential people's backyards in the next few years. That's one of my dreams, is like, that's how do I work and make a little bit more compensation for my family, but manage my own disabilities to where I'm not feeling like, I can't.
Yeah, and you're not like getting 4 hours of sleep and pulled in 12 different directions.
I'm already getting 4 hours of sleep. This is just a veteran. You know what I mean? So let's just factor that in, but then let me cook, for 10, 12 hours and still only have that 4 hours of sleep. Do that 2 or 3 days in a row, and you're not able to move. So the restaurant is not there. I just have to find other ways to put my food out there. And that's that way. And then volunteering, helping veterans is everything, so, and helping the youth. So when you're able to volunteer and feed that way, it kind of spreads yourself out, so now so many people in the community have tasted my food that I get help. I get, I have a foundation. It's just ready to lift itself off the ground right now.
I think it's important to point out that even as your business is doing very well, you are still doing outreach with veterans. You're a plate juggler basically. Yes. Right now.
Yeah, it's a lucky being a Gemini, I guess, because it's natural for me to do more than one thing, and it's a fun thing for me to keep myself going like that. And I spun them together. You're helping veterans understand their claims. You're cooking for them. Right now, if you see this VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars, in Brentwood, California, I've been a service officer for them, volunteering for 12, 15 something years, since 2012. And that's where it started. I was able to actually cook for all the veterans there and practice, right, on them, cooking for 70 to 100 or so veterans once or twice a month, doing our events that we do for our community. Because how do we afford that? You know, if we're a post or a chapter, we don't have enough money for good food, you know? So I was able to provide that. But then at the same time, I had this whole platform now of veterans, and I'm sitting there one night, I woke up and I had this dream that I had a microphone headset on, and I was standing behind my pit, lifting my pit up, flipping me, and I'm talking, doing a veterans claims seminar. And I was like, well, why not? Mm-hmm. And that's what we started doing. We started doing seminars where I cook all the food first, and it's all set up buffet style. And then I invite all of the veterans organizations and any business that supports veterans, any public figure. They have tables set around the actual perimeter of the hall. And I do a seminar for an hour on how to develop a claim, how to write a statement, the real foundation of a claim, right? Because if we don't do the foundation of a claim, then we end up losing at the end and at the beginning, because you don't have what you need at the beginning. And we're sitting here thinking they're going to do it for us. So we just put the claim in, and we don't do all the extra things that we should to represent ourselves. So I teach that part of it. And then I take you backstage, each person, each family, for however long it takes. And it's a 5-hour day. And I see them one-on-one. And I can tell you, it's helped so many people who really, really needed the help. There was one female that, I mean, without her stepping in, coming off of Kaiser suicide watch, didn't know all that stuff. She came into the van. It was Concord, the Concord Vet Center. They brought their van out. They have an outreach van that they brought out that's like a mobile office. So they brought that out, and I was able to sit in there in private and speak with her. And her whole issue was just the way the VA does it, kind of convoluted. It was some issues that should have been taken care of. She got denied a couple times, and she didn't know how to fight it. So I was able to write a statement for her mental health doctor. I was able to write her own personal statement after she told me her story. And then we send all that stuff in, and 6 months later, she comes back and she got granted her 100% benefit. She got 3 years back pay. And what I found out was that she had 2 little girls.
Or you didn't know that?
Didn't know it. She was on suicide watch, had 2 little girls. You see what I mean? That's how vulnerable we are as veterans when we get out, because we think that somebody's going to help us. And then we have all these issues, and they're like, no, we're not going to do that for you. And there's no backdrop for that. You know what I mean? It's just, you look around and you're like, well, there's nobody here. And there's just these groups like this in the community. And if you don't know about them, there's no help.
How do people get a hold of you for either your catering or your VA services or both?
Well, I have my catering is, I have a lot of social media. So I have my Instagram, I have my Facebook business page, and then my personal page, just trying to be an influencer type guy, because I do all this other stuff like fishing and things like that. So I've made my personal page public as well. But it's Archie Lee Smith Jr. is my Facebook page. And then at Archie SANDQ is my business, my Instagram and Facebook business page, and TikTok. You can find all that at Archie SNQ, SANDQ. And then for veterans and military members who want to ask questions, they're able to message me on Facebook, and they're also able to use my Gmail account, which is ask Archie ARCHIE VA. So ask Archie VA at Gmail, and they can just email me a question. And over time, I'm going to answer that question. But what I ask those people to do is to ensure that they give me the rights to share that I'm not going to share their personal, names or numbers or anything like that, but I want to be able to share that story.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do right now is create an ebook series that we can put out that's maybe like $2, $3, so now any veteran in the world who needs to understand how to develop a claim can get that information. And it's actually an ebook that makes you do the right thing, and follow the steps and actually go to the next step. Most ebooks are just a blat of information that you can find online. It's not coming from anywhere. So I want to give you something that actually takes you out of that next step, or takes you to that next step in your claims process. And since I know 12 years of claims work and, I don't know how many Board of Veterans Appeals hearings with administrative law judges, how many times I've gone to Travis Air Force Base and NAS Lemoore doing final out presentations and going through service medical records, all that stuff is in here. So I want to get it on paper for each subject. And then each person who has an issue, I want to be able to create an ebook for that issue. So then it's like, oh, I need an increase in my back. So now it's like a specific back, ebook. So now anybody who has a back issue can read that whole ebook and figure out what they need to do with their issue and how they can represent themselves properly, because we don't have any representation anymore with veterans and benefits anymore.
You're doing a lot of great things, and you're doing a lot of great tasting things too.
Yeah. Everything you're doing, I'm tired.
I know, right? This interview could go on infinitely, So, but last weekend I was just at a duck camp, and that was the best thing that's happened in the last few years for me. I met a veteran at a benefits ceremony. We were being honored for doing things in the community. And he was with the California waterfowl, and he was a volunteer. And he said, you know what, I'm going to use you whenever I get a chance. And 2 years later, he called me and he said, hey, we have a veteran hunt program over in Sassoon on Grizzly Island, where we do a 2-day thing for veterans and we let them hunt ducks. And it's camaraderie. It's this. Can you cook for it? So I was able to cook for lunch, dinner, and lunch Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and actually was able to stay there and commune with the veterans, help them with their benefits, and cook. So it was just awesome. And what was so crazy about it is my mom cooked for Duck Dynasty, if you know who that is, out in Monroe, Louisiana. We're only 30 minutes from Monroe, Louisiana in South Arkansas. So my mom cooked for Duck Dynasty. My aunt cooked for Duck Dynasty. And my grandmother cooked for their parents at duck camps and deer camps.
No way.
Yeah, so it was like my life coming from, I lived in California and I would fly to Arkansas every summer. And I would be cooking with her, and then I'd come in November and she would be doing camps. And I would help her every once in a while with those camps. And it just kind of spun to now I'm in California working on a duck camp. And it was just the most, here's where you should be in life kind of moment. So,
well, Archie, thank you so much for talking. We got to wrap this up, unfortunately, but again, we'll put your number and contact information up on the screen here as well, and we encourage anybody to reach out if they have a need, one way or the other, from you.
If you need any kind of private catering, private events, anything like that, business events, I'm there for it.
Archie is a good backyard fit.
Yeah, any of those slogans work for me.
Speaking of slogans, I think "Punch Your Meat" might be pretty good too, but that's up to you.
One of mine is "Bamtastic." Bamtastic. That's one of my biggest. Fantastic, but Bamtastic. So
you're a Bamtastic human. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Archie.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
You see it.
Take care.
Take care.